Space Dandy episode 5. A Merry Companion is a Wagon in Space, baby. This episode was actually a huge, departure from what, the past 4 episodes have been, but in a really, really good way. One of the biggest things is obviously the story itself wasn't just the insanely over the top, silly comedy story. It was actually a really heartfelt story with Dandy being a really good person to this little girl that he finds, who, he initially was just going to take in and take her to the registry and use the money he got from her to get a ship. And then, he kind of got attached to her because she was just, this little girl off on her own. And she obviously didn't have family aside from the grandfather she was looking for. And Dandy kind of bonded with her over time. And, you could see he was doing things that sort of a father and daughter would do, or, at least like a big brother and a little sister in a way. So I thought it was a really cool episode. One of the biggest things that stood out, aside from the obvious departure from just the insane over the top comedy, was the music in this episode. And I'm sure it's hard to miss it because one of the scenes was just flat out a music, sort of. I guess it's technically not a voiceover, but the music was laid over all of the video, so there was really no sound outside of that song. And I don't know the name of that song, but if you do know it, definitely put that below for me because that was a great song. I thought it was really catchy. But that was a cool scene, and that was a nice little montage scene where you really got to see how how well they bonded, because they had their little arguments at first, and the girl put Dandy's consciousness inside the little penguin plushie toy, which was really funny, and I love the scene. When he first wakes up from it and he's singing like the boobies that boobies go up and down. I thought that was really silly, and because that was one of the things that carried over from the other episodes. It was just him and boobies. It's just going to be in every episode, at least mentioned in every episode. So they got their mention in there for the restaurant. But this episode was really good. QT and Meow weren't really in it too much. They had like their couple of scenes in the very beginning, and then them talking about how he hadn't come back yet, and that was pretty much it. And then there was like another scene where they actually talked to Dandy over the phone, but they were in about 3 scenes, and the rest of it was just Dandy and this little girl, and it was actually a really, really good episode. It was a heartfelt episode, and it's one of the episodes where I hope it does actually carry over, considering it wasn't one of the crazy ones where the whole universe turned to zombies, or like the first episode and they just blew up on the planet. So hopefully this one somehow will carry over. Like obviously it won't just, well, who knows with this show, but I highly doubt they'll just like skip a bunch of years and then she will end up being in the show. But maybe if they have a bunch of seasons, maybe they will do that, and they'll do sort of a time skip where she's older and stuff, and she does decide to find Dandy and the crew and actually join them. But for now, it would be nice if this doesn't just reset like every other episode, because it's one of the few storylines that they've had where obviously they don't just die in the end and stuff, so it can actually carry on. It can be, I think, out of all 5 episodes, it's really this one and I guess the second one when they were looking for the ramen. Those are really the only 2 episodes where those could technically stay in the story and kind of count as an actual cohesive storyline compared to them blowing up or turning into zombies. But overall, it was a really great episode, really heartfelt. It was really cool. It still had its hilarious moments, like him flying as a penguin, which doesn't make sense, especially considering it was a plush penguin, so he wouldn't, like, technically he just wouldn't even be able to move, but they're aliens and stuff, so it all just fits together in that anime comedy sense. So it was really cool to see that, and him, he beat up the people to protect the girl, and he went out and basically went and searched the whole night to figure out where this girl's grandfather was, because he was the only person that she had. And it was just a really heartfelt story for the anime, and I'm gonna enjoy seeing more episodes like that if we have some more. But even if we don't, definitely a great sort of one-off episode, and I'm sure we'll get right back to the insane comedy. Considering at the end of this episode, the preview was basically taking off your underwear versus taking off your shirt. So it'll go right back to the insane comedy and just really weird, silly stuff like Meow and Dandy were in the bed with the aliens. I don't know what was going on there, if it was romantic or not, who knows. But it's gonna go right back to the comedy. But for this episode, really love the serious tone of it and this more, somber tone. They actually had a character crying in this episode. It was like, that's kind of sad because, kids crying, it's generally sad. But good episode overall. Definitely comment below. Let me know what you guys thought. Favorite parts, least favorite parts. And with this episode being a huge departure from, what we normally get with Space Dandy, you know, what would you say is your favorite episode? Would you say it's this serious episode or one of the more comedic episodes? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.